A new study shows the popular weight loss drug Wegovy can also reduce the risk of a heart attack or stroke by 20%. That's according to a clinical trial performed by drugmaker Novo Nordisk. It studied more than 17,000 non-diabetic adults with heart disease who were obese or overweight. The findings, once peer-reviewed, may encourage insurance companies to cover this expensive drug. And for more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Ernst von Schwarz. He is a cardiologist and author of the book, The Secrets of Immortality. Doctor, thanks for being with us. Let me start with this. How significant do you think these findings are?
I mean, enormous significant, no doubt, in particular because semaglutide, which usually as Ozempic is used for only for diabetics, this version, Wegovy, now was tested in non-diabetics. And that's the amazing new finding here, that obviously non-diabetics might benefit from the drug. We don't know exactly how it works because we don't know if the results are due to weight loss or if it's a drug inherent effect. But the study is not out. The announcement is from the drug company, from the manufacturer, but we haven't seen the full-length scientific description of the study yet. But 17,000 people, that's a large number. The 20% risk reduction, that's enormous.
Doctor, how is this drug taken, and then who might be allowed to take it?
Well, it's FDA approved as Wegovy right now for obese people, and it's given subcutaneously, meaning the patients do an injection usually once a week at a dose of 2.4 milligrams. And that's the difference to its brother compound, which is known as Ozempic, which is FDA approved not for weight loss, but for diabetes at a lower dose. But obviously both seem to have beneficial cardiovascular effects because an Ozempic study was published in 2016 already in diabetics and showed also a 26% risk reduction for cardiovascular events.
So, but non-diabetics have already been taking, in some cases, Ozempic to lose weight. So would this be cheaper?
Well, currently they cost about $1,300 for the patients, and most insurance companies are reluctant to pay for that. But if it really comes true that there's a significant risk reduction, it will be much cheaper for insurance companies in the future to pay this drug for patients rather than to pay for heart failure treatment or heart attacks in the future if they don't take the drug.
And what are the side effects?
Well, most of the side effects are gastrointestinal, meaning people might have some diarrhea, some GI upset, some stomach pain. There is, of course, always the question whether or not, as of animal experience, there's a potential risk of pancreatic cancer or thyroid cancer. However, that has not really been shown in humans yet, but it's mentioned in the drug information.
How different or similar is Wegovy to Ozempic, another drug that has been talked about so much, people, that I think more people are familiar with at this point?
Yeah, Ozempic, as I mentioned, is FDA approved not for weight loss, but for type 2 diabetes. And Wegovy is FDA approved for weight loss. It's the same compound, if you wish, more or less, just different manufacturers, but it's also a different dose. So Ozempic is used usually at a starting dose of 0.25 milligrams per week for 4 weeks, and then an incremental dose increase to 0.5 and potentially 1 milligram subcutaneously weekly, whereas Wegovy has a higher dose of 2.4 milligrams, so it's much higher dosed, which obviously has more effects on the weight loss.
Do you think people will use this? Is it a drug? I mean, I know it's not going to be addictive necessarily, but is it a drug that can be abused, or you think too many people potentially could want to sign up for?
They do already. I mean, yeah. I'm a physician. So I mean, I get patients every day in my offices asking for either Wegovy or Ozempic, not for diabetes, but mainly for both drugs, actually, mainly for weight loss. And there's a huge run after that, especially here in California. And there was actually an article in a local newspaper yesterday mentioning that some people think it will be like drinking water in the future. I think that's a little exaggerated because you always have to, of course, outweigh the risk versus the benefits and keep a close eye on potential benefits. And not everybody does tolerate that high dose of 2.4 milligrams of Wegovy.
We got to go here, but I just want to ask you, doctor, when they ask you, when these patients are coming in all day long and they ask you for these drugs, what do you tell them?
Well, I explained to them, of course, the potential benefits and the potential risk, and including the side effects. And I tell them, well, your insurance company might not want to pay for it. It might not be approved. However, my experience has been people want it anyhow. And if they have no contraindications, but are, for example, obese or morbidly obese, that risk of obesity outweighs the risk of the medication. So in those cases, I would not have an issue to prescribe the medication, because losing the weight is more essential than potential rare side effects of the drug.
Okay, Dr. Ernst von Schwarz, appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.